Good morning, good morning. What is up, Facebook? What is up, YouTube, Twitter? Get this thing rolling. Give me just a second to start our streams. Let's go ahead and start up Twitch. And go live on Twitch. Chat that. Let's go live on Instagram. Okay, awesome, sweet. Let's go ahead and comment this out on Instagram. Who wants to comment? Paste it over here. Hope everyone is doing quite well. That's all good. Pull this down, Instagram, it's fine. Cool. Awesome. Typically Instagram cuts me off a little bit, like on the head. Let's give myself a little bit more space on the head. Today we're talking about creative direction, right? So I'm alternating between topics, subjects, all that stuff. And this honestly has been going super well over the past week or whatever. Feeling really good about it. Adjust Instagram a little bit. It's like a little low on my head. Give me a little bit of breathing room on that head. Yeah, that's a little better. That's a little better. Sweet. So before I jump in, I want to talk about something that I discovered yesterday that may be a super unlock for you. Something that I think, honestly, it's rare that you run into things that change your trajectory, change your how you do things, probably for life. And I ran into another one of those things yesterday. Maverick's over here stirring, so we'll see how he goes. But I'm not a writer. If you've worked with me, you'll know that I am always about like graphic design. I'm always about like creative, but you supply the copy. I'm still going to always be this way, but me taking the time to write an article or write a book or anything along those lines is just, it's never been in my ability. If that's the right thing. Back when blogging was cool, I wanted to start a blog, but I just never, writing takes too long for me to do. But I figured out how to unlock yesterday. So technology has caught up. I was listening to a masterclass with Walter Mosley, pun intended, I guess. But he's talking about how to write novels. And right now I'm trying to broaden my horizon, listen, soak up a lot of other things from different creative spaces. Not because I need to or want to or have to do any of these things. It's just nice to hear collectively the creative voice in the what the rhythm and flow is between them and what they aren't. And he's like, look, I wake up every single day, and if I were suggesting some advice to you, wake up every single day, write 1,000 words. Right, that's my goal. Write 1,000 words, and I take about 3 hours to do that. So every day I wake up, 3 hours, I write 1,000 words, and that's it. They don't have to be perfect words. They don't have to be beautiful words. They don't have to be any of this. It's just me writing, which is really awesome. It's really amazing. And he says the next day I'll wake up and I'll look at the 1,000 words that I wrote, do some very minor tweaks, minor editing, and then write another 1,000 words. And I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been doing this consistently. And I was like, that would be amazing. I would love to do that. That would be like fantastic. And I don't want to write specifically a novel. I'm more like nonfiction about creativity. But I was like, I don't have 3 hours. I really don't. With all the things that I do, I don't have 3 hours to devote specifically to writing. I have 2 to 3 hours to devote to social media and filmmaking and all the things that I do, I can get away with maybe an hour, right? Maybe an hour. Is there a way to hack this? Is there a way to do something where I'm able to create copy, which is actually quite important for creative direction? This is one of the reasons I'm talking about it right now, without me physically writing or typing? Well, I have my iPhone. Let's see how good the voice dictation is. Let's see how fast I can get to 1,000 words by voice dictation with my phone. I'm just going to pretend this is my phone right now. It's a bottle of cleaner spray. And so I'm literally just talking, and I'm talking for 2 to 3 minutes. And all of a sudden I have 200 words. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Let me see if I actually have the, see, Safari. I may have to share the Safari screen with you. For anyone that's on the thing, you're not specifically missing. I'm trying to make this so it doesn't have to be like about, I'm doing a screencast on the, on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, but it's very light. You know, everything I'm talking about, you'll hear about. Let's see if this comes up. No, 1 second, let me switch over to StreamYard so I can pause the screen and then pull back over to the thing. Let's see, go into my Google Drive, I know why, it's on my other computer. I had the screen open. drive.google.com, should have gone to docs. But anyways, can I do this? Can I like write 1,000 words? And the crazy thing is that in about 2 to 3 minutes, I had 200 words. Like, I looked at the word count, I was like, oh, wow, I got 200 words already. I was like, I can do this easily. And of course, you're adding like period and comma and stuff like that. And take it that my house is a madhouse. It's loud. It's, you know, there's Disney, you know, there's Frozen going on 24/7. There's toys going off, all that stuff. So I was like, well, I wonder if this dictation is actually that good. And I had my AirPod in, right? And it just really worked well. So I'm going to show you, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, I'm just going to show you, like, I'm not going to read all this stuff out. It's, you know, it's 1,000 words. It's actually it's like 3,000 words now. But just what you could do, this could change you. If you're not a writer, you hate writing, but you've always wanted to, here it is, pop this back up. Always wanted to either write a book or just you want to share your thoughts in written word, or you want to blog for whatever reason, or you want to have long form written content, this could be the way around. So the book right now, this is literally just working. This is like first draft, or I guess Walter Moses is like, this is the pre-write. Pretty much you write for about 100 days and then you have your first draft, really. But I'm Addicted to Coffee and Creativity is the working book title right now that I have. And I started out by saying, I guess this is me starting. I'm listening to the masterclass on my iPhone right now with Walter Mosley, and he's recommending if you want to start, blah, 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 all that stuff. And it's literally just me thinking out all this stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be amazing. But like, look at this. I wrote all of this in 30 minutes. 1,700 words in 30 minutes. So I killed the 3-minute thing. And then I wrote today too. And I haven't gone through and edited this yet. You do the dictation, then you have to go back behind, obviously, and kind of adjust a bit of the periods and commas and grammar and stuff like that, which takes about another 30 minutes. So it's really an hour. But yeah, whatever. Let's get on to the questions. I know I took like quite a bit of time on this, but this could be a huge unlock for anyone that just hates physically writing or typing, but really wants to have written content. So let's see. Do freelance creative directors usually have their own team, designer, marketer, etc., or is the team assigned by the client? Depends, I guess, but Typically, a creative director, you can be a solo creative director at a company, right? I am the solo creative director at our company, New Human, and I have just recently, within the last year-ish, another guy, Isaac, who really understands, truly understands, just he understands logical programming, and not like to the point where it's like very code centric, but just understands how to solve a problem. And I understand how to solve a problem, and that's what you're doing in creative direction. So me and him really collab back and forth quite a bit on this. But typically, like when the first time I heard of a creative director was when I worked at King Bio, and I pitched myself there as a graphic designer, web developer. Being a creative director is a huge thing. You have to understand a lot of things to be able to be a creative director. So graphic designer, web developer, and the person above me, Andrea, was a creative director, and who she had underneath her, and I think this is a good representation of who creative directors work with, the team-wise at least, is she had a graphic designer who focused on the product labeling and bottling and stuff like that, and flyer graphics. I did a lot of flyer graphics, a lot of brochure graphics, logo identity. So you have your graphic designer. They also communicate with the web designer or web developer. They don't have to know everything about the web. They just need to have a general sense about the web. It's obviously a really big plus if you do. It's like a super winning combo, but it's not absolutely necessary. So they communicate to the graphic designer, they communicate to the web developer, they communicate quite a bit to the copywriters. We had 3 copywriters on our team. One was a story writer, one was very story written based. One was very technically based, like technical copywriting, and another one was more like social, very copy for the web, to the point type stuff. So that, and then also they communicate with the sales director and the overall stakeholders or the big clients or whatever to kind of communicate down the funnel. But the question is, do freelance creative directors usually have their own team, or is a team assigned? I think that typically they have their own team. You know what I mean? Assigning a team, I guess you could do that superhero style, but typically they have their own team. How can I overcome my fear of social anxiety with clients as I'm trying to transition from an art director to a creative director? Well, the good news is that an art director and a creative director are very similar. They're very similar as far as just understanding art, understanding creativity, understanding just beauty in brand. I think it's deeper, right? How do I overcome anxiety with clients? That's really the question, because they're both the same. Anxiety with clients comes from not having confidence in self, right? So you don't feel as though you're adequate enough or that you have enough technical skill. So you feel as though what you're selling or pitching to the client may not be valuable enough to them, or you've dug yourself a bit in a hole where you've overpromised too many things to the client, and now you're scraping and scratching to deliver to those things. Those are big common pitfalls in graphic design, web design, creative direction. Under promise, over deliver. Or you've given the client too many options, right? This can cause a lot of anxiety, because what will happen, this happens a lot with logo design. You start out and you get the ideas. You're like, okay, hey, what do you want? This, by the way, is Eden's photo, or not photo, but drawing he did last night. It's my little creative guy here. But anyways, you take your sketchbook or your iPad or whatever it is that you're using today, and one, I'm going to give you some quick advice on how to design a logo effectively, like quickly, without killing yourself for the client. And also, this will kind of lead into the anxiety with clients that I think could be effective. So let's say that I have, I don't know, a lens cleaner brand, or the client is a lens cleaner brand. The first thing I always do with the client is I ask them, like, give me like 10 to 15 words. They don't have to make absolute sense. They don't have to be perfect. 10 to 15 words that really describe your brand or what you stand for, right? So for the lens cleaner, right, it could be like crystal, clear, smooth, non-stick, easy to use, simple, non-toxic, non-GMO or something like that. You know what I mean? Like things that matter to you. But they don't have to be specifically about that product just yet. It could also be about things that you stand for, right? So I'm a very big advocate for like gay rights or LGBT, stuff like that. Those could be things that you are very core to your heart and very core to your brand. So you could even say those things, or equality, or Black Lives Matter, or anything that is that you as a brand, that person as a brand, and you won't know these things. You can't know all the things about the brand. That's up to the client to tell you. What I'll do is I'll take a pencil. This is my pencil now. Pen, whatever. And I'm still old school. I'm still pen and paper whenever I do an initial sketch for a design. It's just how I work. I can use an iPad as well too, but I'll literally write down those words just in a list. Like I'm not drawing anything yet. I'm writing down those words in a list. Just boom, boom, boom. Every single word. Vibrant, relevant, silver, blue. Any word, doesn't matter. And what I will do with every single one of those words that the client gives me, when I go back, I'm not doing this in front of them. When I go back, I'm like, okay, great, thanks for those like 10, 20 words that you gave me. And they'll be like, oh yeah, cool, whatever, because it doesn't really, your job is to pull it out of the air for them, make it exist for them, right? They know that they have this thing that they have, but they can't bring it out of the air. Your job is to make the invisible visible, like shoo, put it there. So you write down those words, go back, put some focus music on. This is about 30 minutes, right? Whenever you do this. In every single word, I will draw a small, very quick picture for it. Just very simple thing. If it's water, maybe I'm doing like a little quick wave or something. If it's, gay pride, maybe I'll put like a rainbow or something like that, or anything like that. All the individual elements. You're building the elements. Before you cook, right, you need the onions, you need the chicken, you need the, whatever you need to cook. You're getting all the ingredients. Don't go in trying to make the logo right from the start. Gather all the ingredients. So every single word, I'll try to make a visual symbol for those. Then I'll try to highlight the ones that really stand out, the ones that probably are the most valuable or mean the most to the client, and try to mix 2 or 3 of them together, and then again and again and again. So by about 30 minutes to an hour, I'll have created, probably anywhere from 10 to 15 draft logos, just very rough, very sketchy. It doesn't have to make that much sense. I'm not focusing on type or color or anything like that. I'm just letting the flow go. Now, this is where people get messed up. You don't show the client those 15 draft logos, because that creates some absolute insane anxiety for you and the client, right? So they'll be like, oh, I like this, but I don't like this, and I like this one over here. What you do is this: you hone it in. You select 3 of those, right? So you still have 12 of those in the banker if you need to pull them out. But you select 3 of those that you vibe with. You think the client will really vibe. They're your best things that you think. And you take those into Illustrator, whatever program you use, whether you're on your iPad, whatever, but Illustrator is for me. What I typically do is I'll take a picture on my phone of the thing and literally just put those 3 photos up onto the thing, and then I'll create a little word mark, find some types, find some copy, and that is enough if you really want it to show to the client. That's enough for you to not invest that much into it, and because all you did is those sketches, 3 of those sketches. But what I do is I kind of go one little step further, right? If I have the time, I will try to design out each of those very roughly. If I have the time, like, oh, sometimes you don't, or design out the one that you like the most, right? Just one of them. You still have the 2 sketchies, the pictures of them. And what you do is this. So how do you make different logos that really stand apart? This is some advice I got a long time ago. I don't remember exactly where, but you create one that is contemporary, one that is like super modern, like it's edgy, and then you have your designer pick. And that's exactly how you pitch it to them, because they may be a little bit more conservative or more just kind of like whatever, or they may be like on bleeding edge. You don't know these things all up front. You may have a sense of maybe, but you always want to present enough options so that you don't present something way far out there or way too back there. And that's what I'll do. Like you'll say this is a contemporary da 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 da, or this is you give each one a name too, so they can feel it. You know, if you ever watch HGTV, they'll give like the homes names, and it does make a difference. And I'll break down the explanation as to why I believe the designer picked this one draft, why I love it, and why I feel as though it stands for them. And not 5 or 8 times out of 10, they'll go with that one. But sometimes they won't, and that's okay. It's not your job now to be like, oh man, my design can get picked. It's your job to just get them to the finish line. You've put in the work to come up with the best ideas. Now it's up to them to decide, but you don't give too many options. So what may happen is, can we merge the contemporary and the modern one a bit? And you're like, okay, I can do that. But you don't say, can you merge all 3? You know what I mean? Like that can get really messy. That can get really weird. You give them that option if they really want to, or you give them time to kind of think about it. And it may be that, 1 out of 10 times you completely miss the mark. They're like, I really don't like those 3 options. That's when you bring out your ace in the hole and be like, hey, yo, these are actually all other things that I thought of as well. Those are just 3. Here goes 12 more. And then you allow them to kind of see that stuff. If you have to, they'll pick something, and then you do it again, but you don't do it again and again and again. Like that's it. You know what I mean? You gotta move on. It's like, okay, you really like this design, because after that, I'm gonna pick that one. And like, yeah, let's go with that one. That's the one. And you're like, that's the one? You're like, that's the one. All right. Locked and sealed. Boom. So bringing it back to our question or our thought or our whatever, it's like, how do I overcome the fear and anxiety? You got to be straight, but you can't give too many options to the client. You have to deliver on time. You don't overpromise. Overpromise will always get you in trouble. That's my answer. Let me see how we're doing over here on StreamYard. probably like 2 or 3 more questions, I think, just to get this going. Oh, hey. Hey, Gook. Hey, Gooks. Gook Spook. Gookie Spook. Hey, Gookie Spook. There we go. All right, let's see. Let me pull this over. Give myself a little headroom here. A little headroom. Next is on our list is, oh, didn't mean to remove myself. Next on the list is, what is the average annual salary of creative directors at an ad agency in 2014? That's old. Creative director is, I think, anywhere from pretty much like 50 to, I'd say anywhere from like, it just depends on where you're at, right? So I'd say anywhere from like 40 to 80,000 roughly. You could definitely do 125,000. The skill set is definitely worth it, but it just depends. Like, can the company afford that amount of money, right? And are you willing to work for a little less, but have the creative freedoms that come with a specific company? You need to make enough money to survive, right? You need to make enough money where you're comfortable enough, right? But it's not about making the most money. It's about making sure that you're in a company that you feel very good at. It's about making sure that you can still do other things as well, right? So I work 4 days a week at New Human, and I scratch my own itches. I do all the things. I freelance, all that type of stuff. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe I just don't want to even do anything. I wake up really early because it's things like right now, I wake up really early. And it makes me feel happy and content. And I'm willing to take a little bit less than what the industry standard is, like if certain things are checked. And so use those, make sure those are the thing that you use to also put in for the salary type thing. All right, last question, and then I'm going to call it. So where do art directors and creative directors look to find photographers to work with? Oh, very good question. I don't think you find them. Like, you can, if you have a big budget, great, if you have the budget. But typically, creative directors, we are going to Adobe Stock, we're going to unsplash.com, we're going to literally, like, you can create a campaign. The big thing that people miss when they're making campaigns for marketing campaigns or brochures or anything like that with really compelling visual photography is you need to find a series of photos that are within the same shoot. In that way you can actually make those things really feel like it was all together. And it's completely fine to have completely different separate shots, but like, get a subscription to Adobe Stock. That's good. What's even better, it's artgrid.io if you're into the video space. That will be 2021. That's like 2021. That's right now. Because with the video, you literally could screenshot any part of the video, and therefore you kind of have like almost like 3 or 4 photos in one, and you have a video asset, and it's cheaper than Adobe Stock. So that's my thoughts. Those are my tips. Hope you guys enjoyed this show, working with creative directors. Remember, I'm going to be bringing on interviewing